And welcome back to a little bit of Call of Cthulhu, the Cavendish collection. The Serpent Sting is the episode for this evening in this kind of loosely connected, sort of like not super connected stories, but it has the same kind of rotating cast of characters all set in the lovely, totally non-spooky, non-Eldritch Arkham, Massachusetts. In some period in the early to mid 1920s, we haven't really decided. We're not historians. Hey, before we dive into this evening's peaceful and uplifting story, why don't we introduce ourselves and say a little bit about the characters you're playing? So let's start with Mel.
I'm muted. Okay. I am playing Mrs. Fung, who is an antique stealer who now needs a new accountant after her current one was murdered by demons in the phone last time.
I mean, run down in the middle of the street by Maurice, but close enough.
Yeah, well, there's some steps in between.
5.
So that's my intro. Shanks.
Yes, my name is the Shanks Master General. I'm playing Maurice Church. He is a Quaker. I previously believed I only killed 4 people last session. That's incorrect. It's 5. And I'm here to defend, mend, and defend all people within my party because they're my friends. Unfortunately, that results in deaths usually. And we're going to move it on to Sin.
Hi, I'm sinful__potato on Twitch. I am playing Dr. Etta Wells, who is a fantastic psychologist and has never misdiagnosed anyone ever whatsoever.
Except always. The character is, stats-wise, the character is a world-renowned, excellent alienist. Roles-wise, she knows nothing about human nature. She buys anyone's lies. She can't diagnose people who are in the throes of homicidal mania. But academically, she's very strong. So chat and or YouTube commenters later. So here's the question. Is Maurice a serial killer or a spree killer?
That's a question, isn't it?
So wait in the chat, like and subscribe. No, but seriously, I don't, because it seems to come in like you're not yet going out and hunting people down. So you're not like getting the itch to kill. But when you do start killing, it seems like the body count escalates very quickly.
There was a group of men going to harm and possibly kill my friend.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally justified.
I had very, like, as in terms of moment to moment justification, it was, I kind of snuck attack them all without them really, with them showing their hand.
Yeah, I mean,
as a Quaker, I'm not doing great. Not at all. Not slightly.
It's fine. It's fine. We'll find you some wonderful cult to join.
I did say I was going to go to therapy for it.
Yes. You might want to put Maurice in some downtime so that he can work through his issues. All right, cool. So, Mrs. Fung, you receive a note, hand-delivered by an officious-looking man with brill-creamed kind of salt and pepper hair, a very tidy mustache, very well-dressed, obviously chauffeur or something, not necessarily a wealthy individual himself, but someone who presents a very stiff and official presence, walks into your shop with a bit of a sniff and a suspicious look around, sees you sitting behind the counter, walks forward and simply hands you a note.
I take it from him, but as I'm taking it, I ask, and what can I do for you?
He will say, my only job is to deliver the note, and will kind of turn on his heels and walk out.
It's not the strangest thing that I've encountered. So I unfold the note. What's on it?
So The note is an invitation written in actually quite lovely, sort of flowery, obviously a woman's penmanship. It is an invitation to examine an artifact of interest, an antique of sorts, that has recently fallen under the ownership of the Cavendish family. You know the Cavendishes to be a local family of significant old money wealth, who are perhaps a bit eccentric, not necessarily the most socially engaged, although they do give quite a bit of money to Miskatonic University. I believe there's a wing of one of the halls that's called the Cavendish Wing. So they're something of fixtures in town, or at least in the lore of town, although they are not necessarily highlights of the social kind of strata. They live in Coldwater Hall, a ways outside of town. And you know that they are, or at least Charles Cavendish, the elder, is known to be a collector of rare antiquities, rare and odd antiquities. And the note is from his daughter, Abigail.
Is it just a general invitation, or have they named a time?
It is a general invitation at your convenience. There is a mention that the family would most appreciate your attendance this weekend, which it being Friday makes good sense. So a little bit of a sense of urgency. But what perhaps not so much puts you off, but what perhaps piques your curiosity is the postscript that suggests that it might be wise to bring assistance based on prior experience, a few strong hands, and perhaps medical expertise would be beneficial.
Intriguing. Yeah, I think Mrs. Fung takes some time to consider this, but I think if the Cavendishes are part of the lore, she probably wants to take the opportunity to look at some of their collection. And I think with strength in mind, she does have someone in mind. I think Maurice is who she would give a call, perhaps, to see if he's available to accompany her.
Excellent. And perhaps you call Eloise. Like, well, that's medical.
Yeah, try to give Eloise a call.
And maybe Dr. Wells answers. It says Eloise is under sedation right now. She keeps talking about uncovering mysteries and then shocking people to death. So we're going to keep her for observation. But Dr. Wells, I believe that you have some history of interaction with the Cavendish family, correct?
Yes, I did psychotherapy with Abigail.
Yeah. So through a fortuitous coincidence, I mean, everyone here is somewhat connected. It's not a very large town. So what happens? You make a few phone calls and you think you've got a little small party that you might take out to Coldwater Hall.
Yeah, I think I let Maurice and Dr. Wells, when I get a hold of her, to let them know to meet at my shop, and we can head over there at the appropriate time. It's the weekend, and probably Saturday.
Cool. Anything happening in the meantime? So because Mel has not played and because other folks haven't played in a while, one of the skills that some folks have, and I'm not sure if any of you have it, is like library use. And one of the things as, potential investigators of the strange that one might wish to do is some research. And that could take the form of like actively going and looking in the library and seeing if there's anything that you can find. It can take the form of having a seance and trying to summon a spirit of the dead to tell you secrets, which is maybe not quite as good. Interesting, but maybe not quite as reliable. It could be asking around. It could be seeking information from any contacts that someone might have in the kind of underworld or black market of artifacts, etc. There's all sorts of ways that one might seek to gather information.
I do have the library use skill. The artifact in question is, I mean, did it say that it was something they had recently acquired, or has it been in
It
the
was
collection, or just not any details?
recently acquired. No further
Okay.
details were provided. No name and no description.
Okay. So Mrs. Fung does have black market connections as part of her antique dealing operation. I think that's the avenue that she would want to explore, trying to identify more on what they might have acquired that would have been of interest, and any other details that could be offered from her contacts. So that's what
Excellent.
I'd like to do.
I think I would like you to make a credit rating roll. So credit rating represents not solely your material wealth and ability to purchase things, but also sort of represents your standing. It can be a really good way of kind of getting a sense of how individuals or groups of people might react to you. And I think it's probably a good stand-in for sort of a random element as to, are there people who might know something who are available, and do they pick up the phone when you ring?
Yeah. All right, I have a 10 under 40.
Ooh, which is a...
This would be a hard success.
Yes, not quite extreme, right?
Not quite extreme. The extreme is 8.
Would you like to spend 2 luck to make it extreme?
You know what? Sure. That's fun.
Excellent. So you spend 2 luck to get an extreme success. So you just so happen to be able to track down one Nikki Massetti, a fellow dealer in curiosities. Although at least on the surface, he's more likely to sell things like, fine china and, heirloom furniture and things like that. But he does have a very, very active interest and network in not just things of a more eldritch nature, but things with a slightly sinister reputation. There are certain collectors who specialize in acquiring rare and potentially dangerous artifacts, and he tends to work in that realm. It's not one that I think perhaps you've been super comfortable with, because people do have a tendency to disappear when they engage in such commerce. However, he is quite interested for some reason in your call, particularly when you lay out to him the reason. So I think what you learn with your extreme success is that he did not directly broker the sale, but he is quite aware of it, and probably being a bit of a fabulist, he probably tries to take a little bit more credit than he's due. Oh yes, I know all about it. I am of course responsible for making the connection, etc., which you probably know to discount at least to some degree. However, the item in question is a small statue, idol, one might even say. Rather ugly, not necessarily even well crafted out of some sort of dark stone. It is notable for 2 reasons. One, the eyes of the stylized serpent, which form the body of the statue, are large, very, very clear, beautifully cut emeralds, which would contribute a significant amount of value to it as well. It does have a bit of a reputation, although how much of that is designed to jack up the prices and the interest and how much of it is real, it's hard to tell. However, word has it that Mr. Cavendish was able to acquire the statue at a bargain basement price, because the previous owner and all in his household died mysteriously.
Any any details about the circumstances about how mysterious this death was, or just that they're dead?
I think Nikki would say it wouldn't be mysterious if people understood what the circumstances were. The scuttlebutt is that it was mysterious and near simultaneous death of 5 household members.
Interesting.
It was an extreme success. Perhaps Nikki has heard. It seemed almost as if they had frozen to death. But you can't freeze to death in the middle of the summer.
That is mysterious.
Time to get a sweater.
So what's happening?
I think that's all I wanted to do in the interim. So if there's nothing else, then can head over there.
I
Cool.
can drive us over.
Smash cut to the morning as Maurice pulls up in a car with a suspicious accountant-shaped dent in the front bumper.
I was going the speed limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I head out. I think I have my like a case of like appraising tools with me,
Mhm.
and all of that, and I head out to the car. Good morning.
Oh, hi there. How's it going? Ooh,
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing a bit better. I haven't been able to see Dr. Wells. Her appointments are kind of booked, but I'll be glad to see her on this little weekend foray. Maybe I could talk to her in between whatever it is we're going to be doing.
Yes, maybe she'll have time. I wouldn't count on it, but it's possible.
Okay, that's fine. Well, let's go pick her up now.
I just let you swing by. Beep the horn. Dr. Wells comes out of her office. Dr. Wells, I would like to have you see if you can tell that Maurice is currently suffering under multiple layers of indefinite insanity.
Don't do it, Sin. Keep the charade alive. I mean, statistically, she has to do it.
I'm just curious.
So it's like an 89 over 75. So it's a fail.
Yes.
Yeah. Maurice looks so chill and peaceful and healthy and happy. He must have been taking your advice and getting some rest and staying out of anything strenuous or distressing. Mrs. Fung, however, is clearly suffering under some sort of horrible Freudian delusion and is definitely going to need some immediate therapy if she's going to maintain her composure. Thank you for rolling poorly and not breaking the trend. Cool. So, yeah, Dr. Wells, you pile in the car and you all motor off into the lovely bucolic fields and coppices of rural Massachusetts. It is a relatively short drive. You pull up in front of a rather dreary manor house, something out of Austin, right? More at home in the moors of England than one would expect here. And it does have a bit of a vibe to it, if you will. But you pull up into the little gravel drive around and pull out your little valises and carry-alls and knock on the door, and you are greeted by, in fact, the selfsame man who delivered the message to you.
Good morning. We're here about the note.
I'm afraid the family is somewhat indisposed.
It sounded quite urgent.
Well, you won't be seeing Mr. Charles. He is in bed. He's not feeling well. And the children are attending to him. So I suppose you'd better wait.
That's quite all right.
So he will as he's been saying this with kind of like the door held fairly close with just his face out. And he kind of looks at you suspiciously, kind of creaks the door open, and then sort of like bundles you into a front parlor. Just kind of like blocking, kind of obviously, hustling you into a front parlor and then closing the doors. Then you hear the rapid tap, tap, tap of his feet walking across the parquet of the entryway, and then a relatively hurried run up the carpeted steps. You are alone in the parlor.
Is there anything of interest on display in the parlor, or is it just the regular?
Well, you could spot hidden.
Sure.
I will also spot hidden.
Alrighty.
I'll join the club on that.
Ooh. 3 under 42.
Ooh.
So that's an extreme success.
Excellent.
96 over 80.
Okay.
They also 96.
Maurice leads the way.
Unfortunately, Dr. Wells and Mrs. Fung are a little bit distracted, perhaps, or maybe a bit offended at the brusque treatment you received from the manservant, leaving Maurice time to sort of case the joint. Now, of course, there are a number of books, beautiful kind of Chinese or Japanese scrolls framed under glass. There's probably like the helmet of a samurai, suit of armor. There are stone tablets in little glass cases that are inscribed with cuneiform. Of course, Egyptica and a variety of other knickknacks, and then books upon books upon books, primarily focused in the areas of history and anthropology. But none of that is particularly, some of it's noteworthy, but it's not really unexpected. I think what Maurice notices is that, well, one, as you might recall, the house has been electrified, which is not that unusual in this time period. And it does appear that there is a phone line running into this room, or was. You can see near a baseboard where someone has hacked away at a phone line.
That's distressing.
Why anyone would do that after that weird storm that happened last week, who knows?
This is very distressing. Was it just someone took a pair of scissors to it, or did they just pull it out, or?
Yeah, no, you don't even have to do electrical repair. You can just look at it. It does, it's one of those, with the woven fabric around the heavy gauge copper wire. It really does look like someone took some not particularly sharp scissors and just sawed away at it.
Like they might have had their own incident similar to us, I guess. To learn what that incident was, go back and and review it at C+ Content on YouTube. I go up to Mrs. Fung, who's also familiar with this, and I point out the cut phone line. It's like
I sort of look at it for a moment, and I guess it's a moment of distress. Imagine that. It's like, well, I guess it was also happening on this side of town.
I wonder who in the house they would have gotten then. The thing.
I mean, in a parlor like this, it's likely that they would have staff answering the phone here.
Oh, good point.
They did say that someone was under the weather, but I can't imagine it's related since they invited us here in the first place.
I mean, everyone seemed to be better after the incident, so they were just confused, that's all. I can't imagine it's still happening. I mean, I think we beat that thing.
Yes, I think so too. I mean, everything seemed normal since.
Yeah. Interesting. And then Maurice gets like pressure on his chest, and it's just like, this is not a good thing.
Examines the blood encrusted head of your wrench.
My blood covered mitts.
Right.
The wrenches. Go ahead.
So I think Mrs. Fung and Maurice are kind of over in one corner of the room, sort of discussing the cut phone line where perhaps Dr. Wells is further back in the room. So Dr. Wells, would you give me a listen, please?
That's an 80 over a 58.
Oh, good. Perhaps you hear sounds in the house, but it's an old house and perhaps it's settling or something. Or maybe there was just a gust of wind outside that caused a bit of rattling around. You pay it no mind. You've probably picked up, I don't know, some translation of something important in ancient Greek and are sort of reading through it, thinking about how much hydrotherapy or electroconvulsive therapy Mrs. Fung is going to require to restore her to sanity. Cool. You wait.
Yes, I think we're waiting for now.
How long do you wait?
Oh, I think Mrs. Fung has the patience for an hour before she starts snooping around. She's used to being kept waiting by rich clients.
I try to engage Dr. Wells in some brief conversation. It's like, Dr. Wells, I was just wondering if it was appropriate to talk to you about some problems I've been having.
Sure, go right ahead. I have all the time for you.
Yeah, thank you. I've been having some pretty deep anxiety lately. Like it's I don't know how to describe it. You know, guys in my line of business, we generally don't talk about. But I don't know how to say this. We just don't talk about how we feel. But I think I've been having what I would describe as these moments of panic, and they've been causing me a lot of distress. Is that something that people normally deal with, or is that just am I special? I just don't know.
Well, I have patients who also experience some stuff like that, and in a sense it is normal, but there are ways to cope with it.
How would you cope with it?
So there's the five senses.
Five senses.
Yes, so while you're kind of in that sense, or before you get into that panic state, you do go through your senses, like 5 things you can see, and you say it out loud, and then move on to 4 things you can hear, and then 3 things you can smell, 2 things you can taste, and then 1 thing you can feel.
Okay.
And by the time you get down to that last one, you in theory should be calm. And then if that doesn't work, there is the kind of 4 square breathing where you breathe in for 4, then hold it for 4, then breathe out for 4, and hold that for 4, and just continue for like around 5-10 minutes.
So basically, I just have to describe what I'm seeing and then breathe slower or different, and that's about that. That's supposed to help my anxiety.
Yes, breathing slower should help to calm you in the moment. Controlled breathing.
I guess I'll give them a try. I mean, you are a very good alienist, from what I understand. I guess, but I don't know. I'd have to try it to see if it works.
I believe in you.
Thank you, Dr. Wells.
And while you're at it, here's some heroin and or cocaine.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your mother? Well done. Real therapy.
That did not come up.
You know what? I'm going to award Dr. Wells and Maurice 1d4 of sanity for doing some actually good advice.
It's a 1.
Which sounds about right.
Yeah. What is my sanity right now, anyways?
You're fine.
32 now.
Oh.
Yeah, totally fine.
Yeah. That just means it's a meaningful percentage increase in your sanity. Yay.
It rolled a 4.
Excellent. So it's a real physician heal thyself moment. Cool. All right. I think the hour passes. Still no butler.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mrs. Fung. So, is there only one entrance to this parlor? Is
Yes.
it like just the out to the hallway?
Yeah, out to that kind of entrance area.
Yeah, I think Mrs. Fung heads over to the door and tries to open it.
It's locked.
Yeah, fascinating. I think Mrs. Fung looks at it for a moment and is just like, I don't suppose either of you can pick locks. Is there an even way to do that from inside?
Yeah, it's these are the old fashioned ones that
the
kind of
old-fashioned
skeleton
sort
key
of.
where you can unlock from either side.
Gotcha.
What would lock picking be?
It would be lock picking if I'm not mistaken.
There is like a locksmith.
Oh, there's actual locksmith.
Yeah, locksmith.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not good
Which
at that.
do not.
I could be talked into a hard mechanical repair because it's an adjacent skill.
Okay. Well, that would be definitely a lot better. Mechanical repair is presently 72, it looks like.
Yeah.
All right. So hard is 35. 94 over 35.
So you have jammed your screwdriver into the keyhole.
All right.
And it does not want to come out.
Son of a gun! Son, get her! Get her! Get her!
Well, that could have gone better.
That could have gone better. Is there just lock breaking at this point? Same thing?
Yeah, you want to force the door, it'd be strength.
All right. Well,
well, you tell me. I mean, because you can just bust through the door. You could, in theory, try to take the hinges off.
why didn't we just take the hinges off?
Makes a ton of sense.
It would be quieter, and I don't want to cause a scene. So what would that be?
I think it's the same. I think in this case it's just a straight up mechanical repair.
Just regular.
Probably ought to be
mechanical
like,
repair.
I don't know, carpentry or something, but I'm fine with mechanical repair.
11.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, under 72.
It's easy enough. Maurice always has, a little tool bag with you because you're constantly being asked to repair things. So
Yeah.
easy enough. Just pop out a little rubber mallet and a chisel and loosen it, and then some pliers and pull them out. Mrs. Fung and Dr. Wells kind of hold it in place as you pull out the second pin, and then it's very easy to kind of pivot it, lift it off, set it up against a bookshelf.
All right, excellent. It's a nice door too, so I wouldn't want to damage it too much.
Yes.
Yes.
And
But-
just like our
Different-
therapy session, if you don't succeed the first time, try again in a different method and you may succeed.
Thank you, Dr. Wells. I appreciate your help.
It's the Wells method.
Is there anyone out in the hallway?
No, not only is there no one out in the hallway, but the lights are all off.
Fascinating.
Do people even live here?
Allegedly, they certainly invited us here.
Yes.
All right.
So,
To your knowledge, Charles III, the patriarch of the family, lives here. Young Charlie is in college in Providence, but does tend to return home. You would know, Mrs. Fung, that Abigail, the daughter of the family, not quite college age, although women going to college is not super common yet, has taken a great interest in her father's hobby of collecting. And until recently, there was the second wife of the elder Charles. But she, well, not exactly vanished. She made herself scarce under slightly suspicious circumstances. And may or may not have summoned an eldritch monstrosity to wreak vengeance on some investigators that got in her way.
I believe Dr. Wells defeated that.
Yes.
all right,
So Drusilla
happy
is no
then.
longer in residence, but that's fine.
So the doorman told us that upstairs is where the family was. Is this like a long hallway with doors? Like, what's the?
So the area where you are right now is kind of a little bit of a bump out. So you come up some, like a little flight of stairs into a covered portico. You enter. There's a couple of little ante rooms on either side, and then this grand open entryway with two sides of a sweeping staircase that go upstairs. And then there's a long kind of horizontal wing that runs. So you've got rooms and parlors and various different things to effectively your west and your east. And there's a little smaller area kind of bump out on the back. You can probably see through the entryway some French doors, which are closed, but just through the kind of bubbly glass, you can see a great bank of windows that looks out on the rear grounds of this estate. It is, from the outside, you would know it's 2 stories, although there is a really substantial attic with windows and things in it. So it's 2.5, 3 stories.
I'm the only one who's actually been here before. Would I be able to surmise, like, or guess rather, where they would be storing an artifact of this nature?
If I'm not mistaken, were you invited to view any of the collection last time?
I'm not certain. I remember helping treat what is it, the son's psychiatric issues. I was there for some reason. I think I was giving everyone a ride, and I'm not sure that we were shown to that specific place.
So I think probably not.
Okay.
So we don't know where the collection might be. Presumably somewhere with fewer windows to protect the artifacts, but who can say? We know that there might be some people upstairs. Do we want to look for them? That's my next guess. We were summoned here. Presumably someone will receive us, if not the doorman.
Well, I do know where the sleeping wing is, at least for the young gentlemen of the house. So maybe they're in that area.
We can try that then.
Okay.
Lead the way.
All right, and Maurice leads the way towards the dormitory wing.
Yeah, well, upstairs, and we'll say to the left, is where the many of the bedrooms are. Not so all of them. It's quite a large estate. So probably like 20 some odd rooms total, or major rooms. So, and that there are numerous bedrooms upstairs. So yeah, I think you, without much searching, although, go ahead and give me a spot hidden. Anyone who wants to?
I did pretty well last time. What is it again? 42.
I got a 90.
I got a 70 over 42.
Cool.
I got a 99.
Oh, what is your spot hidden?
55.
Okay, so it's not a critical fail because your
Yeah.
skill is. So no one notices. Mrs. Fung doesn't notice the railing and falls over and dies.
Oh, don't forget to mark it.
Yeah, mark it for a potential improvement. That's the silver lining. Yeah, you don't notice anything. You probably, I would say you do notice, because it's quite obvious. There are a few pieces of straw kind of just in the hallway. Just like a little smattering, not like a thick carpet or anything like that. And you probably notice them because they're hard not to notice, but you don't remark them. It's like, oh, well, whoever the cleaner is must be derelict in their duty. I assume you're just like guessing and, knocking on doors, or are you trying to be stealthy?
I don't think we're trying to be stealthy. I think we're kind of specifically trying to get someone's attention.
Oh, are you making a lot of noise? Are you calling out for anyone?
I think that's polite.
Yeah, I don't think we're being overly loud, but maybe like an "excuse me, anyone there" sort of deal.
Okay. There's no response.
Okay.
But yes, after checking a few doors and making your way farther down this wing, I think you probably do. I'm going to think that the elder Charles probably keeps his workroom relatively near his chambers. So you kind of pop open a door. One door you pop open and it's kind of a mess. There's, old pennant style flags on the wall for some sort of, I don't know, field hockey team, or I guess it wouldn't be field, polo team. Rowing. I think he's into rowing. So some sort of rowing team, some sort of jersey, a pair of socks laid out on the radiator. Obviously a young man's room. You notice a very tidy room with stacks of books here and there, a small desk, again laden with books and papers as if someone was in the midst of conducting some sort of research. Nearby you find a small but well-appointed workroom that you're not quite sure if it's in the process of being packed up or if it's in the process of being unpacked. But you can tell, like, there are large glass-fronted cabinets that look like they should hold equipment and samples and things like that, but most of that is contained in boxes and like milk crates. And it seems to be halfway in the process of either filling those things up and setting up the equipment, or breaking down equipment and supplies and storing them away. Difficult to tell. And then finally you come across what must be the master suite at the end of the hall.
I am wondering, for the young man's room, does any of the research that's around look like it's relevant for the artifact we were asked about, or is it just
Oh,
general?
the tidy room with the
tidy
books and
room, yes.
papers. Yes. That's a really good idea. Go ahead and spot hidden on that room.
See if it goes better this time.
I don't know what I would be looking for, but maybe I'll spot hidden real good this time. I have a crit.
Ooh.
I rolled a 91, so
I got
3
a
zeros on
98.
the dice.
Yes, Dr. Wells?
I'm up there with Mrs. Fung with a 98.
Wow.
We will not be spotting anything.
No.
Jeez. It's feast or famine with this group.
I think perhaps Mrs. Fung and Dr. Wells are quite impressed at the breadth of literature and even the diversity of languages in which the various books are written. It appears that the person who was engaged in notes, which must be Abigail, as the more studious member of the family, it appears that the notes she was taking are in fact in Greek, like classical Greek. So she's clearly fluent in that. You see some books in Arabic. You see some books in a language that I don't think anyone has, and therefore you probably wouldn't recognize. Give me an education, Mrs. Fung.
Yes, that'd be a 62 under 80.
It is a bound folio with an introduction in French, but the inner contents appear to be a reproduction of some sort of text in Coptic. So liturgical language now dead in terms of everyday speech, but maintained for religious church purposes. And it is a direct descendant of ancient Egyptian.
Cool.
So it appears this person is so you guys get completely caught up in that. Maurice, however, just flipping around, flips open a notebook, and you see a drawing, a very well done, very kind of like archaeological illustration, relatively precise and realistic line drawing. You can see that it was done first in pencil and then gone over later with ink. And it's a really hideous, not particularly well-formed snake sculpture. Very, very large jewels for eyes. And then there's some, in pencil, there's some chicken scratch underneath. You can tell that there's some sort of shaded indication that perhaps the base upon which the serpent sculpture rests has an inscription. And it appears that someone has attempted to decipher that label. There are a variety of kind of false starts, but you do see written very boldly in pencil the word Abzu with a line underneath it.
Interesting. As I'm the least educated person in the room, I hand this off to someone more educated than myself. Let's say the artifact person, Mrs. Feng.
Yeah. I take when you pointed out to me, I lift my head from being impressed by all the languages in the room and take a look. Does the word mean anything to me, or?
Well, you don't speak Sumerian, but
It's true.
I could give you a hard education, which just means real education. And to succeed, you need to get a hard.
Let's see here. Yeah, that's a success. I rolled a 6.
Oh, excellent. Would that ordinarily be an extreme success?
Yeah, that's an extreme success.
Which would make it a hard success in this case. Excellent. So, it's not quite right. As you kind of look through, you don't speak Sumerian, but perhaps you have dealt with a few artifacts and just being curious, you might have learned a bit about it. And you can tell that some of that they look just like hatch marks or shading marks on this sort of circular base. It's clear that that's cuneiform. And that puts you in mind of Sumerian or Akkadian. And you think about it, and you probably remember, you might have read the Epic of Gilgamesh or secured a copy for someone. You seem to recall that a word similar to that is literally means deep water, but has a cosmological meaning. It is related to fertility, to chaos, to formlessness, and yeah, it has a variety of religious and, not particularly terrifying connotations.
Yeah, as I'm studying the document, I relay this musing to Maurice and Dr. Wells, and admire this Abigail's work on her studies of the artifact. I think I take this folio along with us as we're moving along, but we can continue on to I think you were doing to the master suite is where we were investigating next.
Yes.
Okay.
No real
That sounds
needed.
like
No real needed. As you approach the doors to the master suite, you can see that the key is in the lock on the outside.
Is there any noise coming from inside?
Give me a listen.
I'll leave that to you. I'll just assume you're the person by the door.
Yeah, right. Everyone else stands back.
Just like the
Go ahead
three
and
of us,
listen.
just like.
I got all zeros, so I think that is a crit.
That is in fact a crit.
In a row.
Oh no, it's not. 001 is a crit. 000 is 100, which is a critical fail.
Oh, okay.
Uh-oh.
The other way around.
Remember how dice work. Yes, 001 is 1 and 000 is 100. Excellent,
Gotcha.
excellent.
So critical failure, the other way around.
So a critical failure.
That would have meant my thing earlier was a critical failure as well. Then, whoops.
Uh-oh. Well, I'll punish you for it later. Cool. All right. So what way can this fail? I think, Mrs. Fung, there's a bit of a runner. These are all hardwood floors up here, mostly stone and tile in the kind of grand entryway. You're not quite sure about the other rooms downstairs, but the parlor that you were in was tiled as well. Upstairs, it's been wood floors with runners sort of held down by brass rods. You are maybe a little bit curious and not paying a lot of attention. You don't notice that there's like the runner has come loose from one of those tension rods and formed a little bit of a bubble or fold in the fabric, as if perhaps something happened here. Maybe a bit of a scuffle, who knows. But you don't really notice it, and your shoes catch in it. And you sort of slam yourself into the door as you go to listen. And the door cracks and breaks underneath you.
Wow, fragile.
In a shocking sort of way. Like it certainly shouldn't. And you go tumbling into the room. Would you give me a constitution, please?
Yes. It's a success, I think, a 39 under 50.
Cool. Well, you aren't going to take any damage. This is less from the fall. It's from the immediate freezing cold that you encounter. Those of you who are watching see Mrs. Fung kind of trip a little bit and then hit the door, and the door just splinters, almost like it cracks and shatters in a way. And as you go tumbling in, there's a rush of air from the hallway into the room. That warmer, moister air from the outside immediately turns into sort of a roiling fog bank as it hits this genuinely frigid air in this closed room, obscuring everything. Does Mrs. Fung wear glasses?
She has reading glasses. They aren't on right now.
Okay. Then you would notice through the kind of roiling mist, the interior of the windows is frosted solid. Every surface is covered in a rime of frost, like almost like hair. It's so thick. And then you are immediately aware of this cacophony of cracking sounds as the temperature differential causes the rime of ice to crack.
Well, Mrs. Fung is scrambling to her feet since she did fall into this room.
I go into the room and it's like, "Oh, are you okay, Mrs. Fung?" And then I try to
I'm-
pick her up.
All right, I think.
All right. Oh my God, it's cold in here.
It is.
Ugh.
I heard rumors that the artifact could do something like this, I suppose. Once she's on her feet, Mrs. Fung is going to start looking around a little bit more closely. Is there anything else in the room, or is it just the cold?
Yeah, is the artifact in here?
The artifact is there, as is Charles III.
Uh-oh.
Is he alive?
I don't know.
Okay.
Is he standing?
Is he
No,
standing?
he's in bed.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
He's super chill now.
He's a very chill dude.
I didn't know you were chill like that.
He is
Okay.
He is a bit blue, and he does have a half an inch of frost on his skin. So
Now, it would normally make sense to send the medical professional here, but there's magic nonsense going on, so I'll go up and check to see if he's all right, and just kind of prod him with the I guess, with my wrench, and just be like, "Hey, buddy, you okay?"
give me a dexterity.
Dexterity, I'm good at that, I'm told. Well, I got an 81 over 70. Normally I would do something about that, but how about this? We leave it, and hopefully that makes up for like my earlier gaffe.
Sure. You go to tap him with your wrench, and tap perhaps a bit harder than you intended, and Charles III shatters.
Unfortunate.
Oh no, what's happening again? 5 things in the room: ice, bedpost,
Charles's frozen finger that rolls across the floor and bumps up against your boot.
digits, work boot. Oh god. What was the next sense?
Taste.
I think
You can
it was
lick the.
touch, feeling.
And what is it? Maurice is not so practiced in this.
Pick up a handful of Charles shards and. It's a little sharp actually.
Yeah.
It tastes salty.
Gum that I had 2 hours ago.
Go ahead and
I
everyone
just-
give me
I-
a sanity. You've just seen Maurice desecrate a body.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. What is my sanity right now? 32. All right.
And don't forget to
Not-
recalculate your threshold for indefinite. So it's 20%.
20%, so 1/5. So that'd be 6. Anyways, 93 over 32. So
Just take one. This
40
is weird, but not too weird.
45 under 67.
I think you're fine. Dr. Wells.
It's a 20 under 75.
Cool, you're fine. This is super weird, but
it's only one dead body.
Only one.
And
It's
one
not
person,
even
yeah.
gory. It's just kind of dusty.
It's not even the craziest thing that's happened to me this week.
It's true. But yes, the artifact in question. So grand 4-poster bed with the kind of tapestry hangings to close it off. It's currently open. The windows are thrown open to let light in. There's a desk, there's a little settee, there's some shelves of books. It's a reasonably large, well-appointed bedroom. There is a table at the end of the bed. There's a lamp on it, maybe a few other nicks and necks of this and that. And the statue seems to be sitting there at the end of the bed, facing the kind of jumbled remains of Charles III.
How large is the statue?
Oh, well, maybe a little bit taller than a foot.
Okay.
Probably the base is maybe about 8 inches in diameter.
Okay, but it's like pretty hefty. It looks like it might be.
Yeah, it looks like if it's solid stone, it's probably pretty hefty.
Yeah. Okay. Looks like a substantial sort of.
And I will say you notice that it, however, is not covered in ice.
Does it seem to be like radiating cold, or is it just all over the room?
Oh. I think Spot Hidden, this isn't quite right, but there isn't a physical sense other than listening and looking around. So I'm going to say that Spot Hidden will count for smelling and other things.
Okay.
Or are you just going to go up and touch it?
I'm actually not going to go up and touch it yet.
Okay.
What is it? I'll hold the back of my hand up to it to get a sense of what it is, like what temperature it is, like what you would do normally to see if something's really hot. And maybe this would work for cold.
I think it's also it is like well below 0 in this room.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really hard at that temperature to get any sense other than cold so intense that it hurts.
And when you say below 0, you mean Fahrenheit?
Fahrenheit, yes.
Right. Okay.
So it's tens of degrees below 0 in Celsius.
So very cold. All right. So I'll try Spot Hidden.
Yeah, I've got a 50 under 55 for Spot Hidden.
59 over 42.
Can't really tell. I mean, your skin goes almost numb immediately. Mrs. Fung, you can't detect a temperature difference, but you swear you can feel almost a vibration. Some sort of very faint rumble coming from the statue. Like it's some combination of feeling and hearing, or like a sound so low that you can't quite hear it, but can almost feel it in the air. But you're not quite sure. It's just at the edge of your perception.
Mm-hmm. I hear this almost rumbling sound. I don't know if it's the statue causing it or something else, but it would be a shame, but do you think destroying it would help?
Uh, do we? I could envision a situation in which destroying it could cause bigger problems. We don't like. I have seen so many weird things in my time with Eloise and John and Dr. Wells and even you, who have just recently met. And this could be holding back some sort of horrible thing. It could be. It could be. I can imagine several things in which destroying it is probably could be a good or bad thing. Without good information, we wouldn't know it. Maybe we should talk to this Abigail person. Also, Abigail would probably want to know that we.
Her father is father.
I believe father
Is
yes.
super. Yeah, not
He was.
doing well.
He was dead before I got here. I swear.
Definitely. All right, so we leave the ice room, the ice box that's happening here, and we go try to find Abigail then.
Cool.
Okay.
Go ahead and give me another spot hidden.
Okay. 64.
Over or under?
42.
Okay.
Over 42.
I got a 2, so that's
Ooh.
extreme success. I think.
Extreme success.
Ben one.
I got a 91.
Excellent. Perfect. Don't spend the luck. It's not going to actually get you that much more.
Okay.
Cool. So, Race, you're mostly up in your head about issues. Dr. Wells is totally unconcerned for Maurice's mental health, given the recent events, and still Mrs. Fung is clearly in some sort of fugue state. We're going to have to call the orderlies to take her away. Mrs. Fung, however, notices a few things. So as you step outside, you kind of hear a crunch as you stepped on a now frozen bit of straw. And that caused you to look down and then go, oh, I saw that before. And you can see just kind of scattered throughout the hallway, almost a trail. It's not the pieces of straw and maybe even some sawdust aren't laid out in a perfect line. They aren't equidistant from each other, but it does seem that there's almost a trail of detritus kind of weaving through this long hallway across the back of this hall. And then you also notice that to your right, there's kind of a long bank of windows that also overlook the back garden of this estate. And as you watch, you can see the line of frost slowly growing along the windows.
All right. Frost is growing. Let's follow this. I mean, it looks like this trail of straw and such is leading somewhere. It's possibly from the packing crate that this thing was in.
Yeah.
Can't imagine why else there would be straw around here. So let's see where this goes. So Mrs. Fung is going to head that direction. Is that from back where we were coming from, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
You had stepped over it and just assumed it would. Yeah.
I follow Mrs. Fung.
Is Dr. Wells going to run off on her own?
Dr. Wells will also follow.
Okay. There's some cool stuff up in the attic if you want to check it out. All right. So as you move away from the master bedroom, you can feel the temperature almost immediately begin to rise, at least from about your thighs up. It immediately gets warm, and it's that experience of if you've been outside in the very, very, very cold and then come inside to the warm, it's almost as painful as the opposite. It's like you can feel, it's almost like your skin is unfreezing. So there's a kind of a momentary discomfort, and as you all kind of, rub your hands together trying to get the circulation going again. It is not a difficult trail to follow. You follow it back beyond the landing where you originally came up and kind of entered into the family wing. and then follow it to another door.
Try to open it up.
Easy enough. This is probably a mirror to one of the bedrooms on the other side, but it appears to be a storeroom of sorts. There are a variety of crates here. There are some that have obviously been opened. There are others that haven't. There's also a large metal cabinet, like with relatively small drawers, almost like a card catalog at a library, but the pull drawers and whatever's inside is a little bit larger.
Is it clear where this particular trail of straw and such is leading back to?
Unfortunately, no. There's a fair amount of, bits of wood, packing material. I mean, this place has obviously been swept at some point, but there's enough just dust and debris around that you can't really tell one piece of sawdust or one piece of straw from another.
Mhm.
So you kind of lose that trail.
Is there like any work area in here, like where there might be a catalog of what items are in this, or is it just really just more like a processing zone?
It gives you a sense of storage, but there is that cabinet.
Okay. Um, yeah, I'll head over there and see if there's anything of interest to us, I think. Is it
Okay.
locked or is it
Nope.
yeah.
So you just pull open a drawer at random.
We'll open the drawer and look inside.
It is very much like a card catalog. It's just a non-standard one. It is a series of, uh, what would that be? Like not quite 4x6 heavy cards, um, hundreds of them in just this one drawer.
Mhm.
And I think probably there's the occasional divider with some sort of numerical code written on it. You pick out a card at random. There's another numerical code, and you kind of look and see, okay, well, there's a prefix here. It's not the Dewey Decimal System that you're used to. There's some sort of prefix, and then there's a secondary string of numbers and letters. And there's a very spidery writing. This one that you pulled out, the card is quite yellowed. And even as you pull it, like a little bit of the corner comes away in your hand and almost disintegrates as you pull it out. This particular card is obviously quite old. As you survey the stack of 100 or more cards in this one tray, you can see there's a variety of ages just on the basis of color.
Mhm.
Some of which seem to be even in worse shape, and some seem to be relatively new.
Okay, so that's not really not a familiar number system, not really a good way to there's nothing like a clear sort. Like I was sort of wondering if any of Abigail's notes we had earlier might have anything that would match to help me find something useful, but otherwise I'm not looking through everything in this cabinet.
Well, you do have that little notebook with you, but
Yeah.
I think in just flipping through, you don't see upon immediate inspection any alphanumeric strings that would match that format.
Mhm. Okay. Um I think the next thing that I'm doing is just taking a look at any of the like crates that are like closest to the door, see if any of those look like they could be the origin for this, or if there's just anything else interesting. Um,
Uh, yeah, go ahead and give me a spot hidden.
that's an 81 this time, so that's failure.
There are a couple of open crates. Really, all of them are of sufficient size to have contained the statue. But unfortunately, there probably are some, the crates have marks on them. One's in French, one's in German, one's in Greek. I mean, you're getting a sense that these crates have come from all around the world. Some of the crates, particularly toward the back of the room, there's a good layer of dust on the exposed lip where another crate is stacked on top. So we're not quite sure exactly what function this serves other than storage. Storage and potentially cataloging. But you aren't able to determine which of the open crates the statue might have come out of.
I gotta say, I'm at a bit of a loss here. I don't know where to look right now. Where's this Abigail person?
Yeah.
And what is this this card catalog thing?
Are either of you more familiar with where we might find Abigail if we were looking for her here?
Let me put my thinking cap on. She's a very studious person. She's not in this room with all the interesting artifacts. If there was a library, I would guess she would probably be there. Perhaps.
Perhaps there could be a library or the collection itself, for example, if we want to look around for it.
Okay.
I'm down to look around.
All right.
All right.
So you make your way a bit further down. In fact, practically the next door you encounter opens into a long, what was probably kind of like a ballroom setup. So relatively long and narrow, seats towards the edges, another kind of wooden parquet floor. However, this room has obviously been converted to hold a number of freestanding display cases down the middle and other like armoire shelf kind of situations up against the walls. It's not the furniture is of fine quality, but it's not what you would think of as like a museum sort of display. Like it's not like most of the items aren't designed, most of the displays aren't designed to provide like a really good view around. It's more like a personal collection. But you do, just Mrs. Fung, as you open the door, you can give me a quick just appraise, like an intuitive appraisal.
Can Maurice do this as well?
Sure.
Here it comes.
I have a success 65 under 70.
Cool.
37 over 5.
Race is like, this is all junk.
It's just stuff.
This is all junk. This is clearly the laundry room. Mrs. Fung, you kind of tot up some numbers in your head. You think just based on an immediate kind of sense of some of the items that you think you might recognize what they might be, this is hundreds of thousands of 1920s dollars worth of stuff, if not more, just out on display.
It's more than the GDP of Massachusetts.
These are like on one wall, there's a very large kind of display case, obviously affixed to the wall with like heavy bolts or something, that contains a series, what looks to be a shattered tablet in multiple pieces. Like I think there's 3 pieces there, and then there's an obvious corner that's missing. but there's even like a line drawing of the exact shape of what the missing piece should be. There's a random golden goblet kind of sparkling in a sinister way set around the rim with black pearls. There are strange African daggers and weird masks and bottles of strange stuff in shelves. I mean, it's a cornucopia of esoterica from one of the world's greatest living collectors of such things.
Yeah, I think this is a little distracting to Mrs. Fung. She does just want to go and look at everything that is in the cases. So I think her progress through this set of rooms is slow.
Cool. Are you going to look at everything?
Not everything, but she's definitely looking at stuff as we're going along. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I think you kind of walk through, kind of forgetting your companions, just, kid in a candy shop.
Yes.
One of the first items that you encounter is a scrimshaw skull. Human. Except as you look closer, like it's almost like I think your inventory is like, oh, I think I know what that is. I'll check it out later. And you're attracted to kind of the things that, like, oh, I've never seen this or I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
The shape of the skull is a bit odd. You probably are aware that certain prehistoric tribes would bind the head of young people to create kind of more of a conical shape. So it's a bit like that. It's just the rear portion of the skull extends out and up a bit more than it should. The eye sockets seem a little malformed. The lower portion of the jaw also seems less robust, perhaps. And it is intricately carved, the surface of the bone. You looking at it?
Yeah.
And close. Give me a Powerball.
Yeah. Okay.
No. This is never a good roll. Failure is bad, success is bad.
We've got a 12, which I think the extreme success is 14. So I think that is what that is.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, you feel yourself almost magnetically attracted as you lean up, and it is underneath a glass kind of cloche. But as you get up close to it, close enough that you can kind of see your breath steaming on the glass, you feel yourself pulled toward it. It is not because it's attractive. It's actually rather macabre. But there's something magnetic and alluring about it. And Maurice and Dr. Wells hear Mrs. Fung begin speaking. Kind of a strange, sibilant series of syllables.
I'm guessing it's something we don't know.
It's no language that you have heard, or probably that any living person has heard in millennia. It, yeah, you know what? Dr. Wells and Maurice, give me a sanity check. Ms. Fung, you are unaware that this is happening. And you kind of don't hear yourself.
Woo! 25 under 31.
Cool.
91 over 75.
Cool. Maurice, take one.
All right.
Dr. Wells.
2 out of 6.
Take 3. As
I'm going.
Mrs. Fung's voice, I mean, you're just kind of whispering to yourself, but the sound carries across the room and it kind of works its way into Maurice and Dr. Wells's ears and heads, and it feels like it's the sound is worming its way into your ears and then kind of like echoing around inside your head. It's a very almost vertigo inducing experience. And there's a undertone to it that makes it sound like there's more than one voice, or that it's reaching your ears in slightly out of sync, so it creates almost a warbling effect. Like two notes that are very close to each other create that kind of reverberation.
Tritone, yeah.
Yeah, it's the audio equivalent of biting tinfoil.
My first instinct is to go up to Mrs. Fung and grab her by the shoulder and just give her a quick shake. It's like, Mrs. Fung.
Cool. I think Miss Fung is just like as you kind of pull her shoulder, is just like frozen there, and then whips around right in your face and hisses at you in a very aggressive stance. And then Miss Fung, you were just looking at that thing, and then suddenly you're looking at Maurice.
What's wrong? You look concerned.
Why are you hissing at me? You've been spouting weird language at me, and then
I
you
didn't
turn
hiss
around
at
and
you.
hiss him. Yes, you did. Dr. Wells, she hissed in my face, right? What did she say before?
I don't know what she was saying, but she did in fact hiss at you.
There you go. Confirmation.
I don't remember doing that. I was just looking at this skull.
Look, whatever you said, it was very disturbing, and I don't need that. I'm in kind of a bit of a fragile state right now. I've just disintegrated a man, and
Okay.
I don't need that sort of hostility in my life at this point. I'm trying to be just
Genuinely, I don't remember doing anything, but
okay.
I suppose we can just keep on going. And it sort of glances longingly at the cases, but then stay on target.
All right. I was having a thought as to like what's actually going on here. We have one of the living remaining Cavendishes. We have the now deceased. Was it Charles?
Charles III, the elder one.
Charles III. He's now passed away. We have another Cavendish that's also passed away. The wife, the son who's away at college, I believe. So that only remains the only one in charge of this particular location appears to be Abigail right now. So I think we really need to double down on figuring out if Abigail is responsible for this, or if she's a victim of this, or something to that effect. Like, but did they mention she was on the grounds at all?
She's. I would have expected her to be.
Yeah, was she the one that gave us the invitation?
Yes, she was. She was the author of the note, anyway.
All right. Interesting. I am wondering where the heck she would be.
I mean, the doorman at least claimed that. I mean, he said that Mr. Charles was indisposed, and that the children were with him, but that's clearly not the case. Does this hallway just keep going, or is it just the display cases to the end, or is there another door?
I think there probably is. I mean, there are some other rooms. There's probably like a guest room, or like there's a variety. But as you kind of go through, looking at doors, you don't notice anything. And a storeroom where you have spare linens and winter things and stuff like that.
Oh, winter things. That might be nice.
Well, now that you speak of it, remember when your breath was frosting up the cloche over the skull? It is rather chilly in here, in this hallway.
Yeah.
Looking down back toward the kind of landing at the top of the stairs, You think you can see that the windows on the entirety of that far side appear to be frosted.
Well, that's not good.
I think it makes sense to borrow these winter clothes for now,
I agree.
as they might save our lives.
Let's do that. Bundle up.
All right, we do.
Okay.
Get my gloves. Get my mitts on.
So I think, Maurice, you have a collegiate sporty sort of cardigan and kind of a ratty, slightly mud and grass stained scarf and
It's a
some
little
mittens.
tight. It's a little tight. They never have anything my size.
Right. Ms. Fung is probably in a full length mink, which as a relatively small statured person, it probably slightly drags the ground. I think Dr. Wells would look pretty smashing in like a men's overcoat, like far too large but belted. So we got that kind of 40s silhouette of like the big wide shoulders, the narrow waist, maybe a hat, kind of crumpled little femme fatale action going on. So you now look like kids playing dress up in the parents' closet. It's great.
Very good.
So you pause for a few moments to bundle yourselves up. And at first it seems like a bit warm. But even in the time period that you spend adding the layers, it feels like the temperature is dropping. It's also, the air feels a little thin. You find yourself occasionally. Just a little hard to catch the breath.
It's actually strange. They mentioned the idol was about like deep oceans or whatever, depths and whatnot, deepness, but this is more like being at the top of a mountain, I think.
Yes, I agree. It doesn't necessarily seem to be consistent with the inscriptions. So as we've been walking, there hasn't been any evidence of other people, either the doorman or Abigail, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we can keep looking? Do we have any other options?
I don't think we do. We could just keep examining things and try to get some idea as to where Abigail or the doorman is.
All right. I think we continue our search to see like where the doorman or Abigail might have gone since they are supposedly here.
Yeah, I think we have a little montage as maybe you split up, staying within hearing distance, but just kind of checking all the nooks and crannies. You are alone here. There is no one else. Or if there's anyone else here, they are very well hidden. But there's no one. There's no one in the kitchen. There's no one in the pantry. There's no one in the music room or the conservatory, except for some plants that are rapidly suffering from the ever lowering temperature as that mass of cold air slides down the stairs and begins to fill the lower story.
I'm going to take a wild guess here. Can I look outside the front door?
Yes.
All right.
Or the window. Yeah, you can certainly you can look outside the window next to the front door, certainly.
Okay. Do I see anything?
You do see that the car that was parked there when you arrived is no longer.
Son of a... Stole my car.
No, your car is there, but the other car that was parked there is no longer.
Okay, so they left us behind here.
Almost as if someone was standing by the door as someone locked you in and then left through the front door and drove away, but didn't hear it.
Almost like that.
We've been left behind here to deal with this nonsense or to suffer at its hands.
Is the front door possible to open?
You want to give it a try?
I do want to give it a try.
It appears to be locked.
Can it be unlocked from the inside, like front doors often can be? Or is it one of those?
Oh, I'm sure it has some sort of bolt on it.
Okay.
Probably like a mechanical lift bolt, and you undo it, and it's stuck
it's still
fast.
not possible to.
Yeah. But it isn't like it's rattling in the door frame or rattling up against a bolt that's hidden. It's like it's stuck fast.
Okay, like the door cannot be budged.
Yes.
So does that mean removing the hinges won't work?
I step back and let Maurice try to answer that question.
I try to use, as previously mentioned, a mechanical repair to try and open this. If that's at all possible.
Yeah, give it a roll.
All right. I do roll a 26 under 72.
Cool.
Which is a hard success.
Yeah, I think you kind of repeat the procedure, pull out a chisel, and you start to kind of knock up one of the hinges. And there is a pop. But it's almost like a pop inside your ears. I don't think any of you, well, some of you might have taken a flight somewhere at some point. So we might be familiar with that kind of altitude effect, but everyone's ears kind of pop. And Maurice, you are hit in the face with a high pressure spray of water.
Oh my.
That is pouring through the tiny little crack as you have begun to unseal this door.
Okay.
Okay, I heard us complaining about the depths not being here.
I think we found the depths, and I think I don't like being down here. It doesn't feel good. I don't want to be underwater.
Or at the top of the mountain, or frozen.
Or
all of them are bad.
Or by a river, or yeah.
Does it keep spraying water, or is it just like a
no? It's more than if you put your thumb over a hose. Like it is a pretty extensive volume. Like it hurts when it hits you, Maurice.
Yeah.
You probably have to lean away. And in just a few seconds you've been talking, even though it's only a very fine spray, it's starting to build up on the tile floor of the entryway.
Great. And it was a bolt. I try to put the bolt back.
Give me a mechanical repair.
Sure. Yeah. 85. No, I'm really trying to screw it in. I will push this.
You gonna push it?
I will push this.
You would push it, or do you want to use a major boon? Because if you use a major boon, if you fail, it's not as bad as failing on a push. But you can push if you want. I'm just saying, mechanically, a major boon is probably better.
Look, my mechanical repair is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. 34. That is actually a hard success.
Okay. Yes. You immediately kind of shield this spray, and just kind of push against the door, and then start whacking on the pin with the mallet, seating that pin back in. It does stop the spray, but there was a seal that you have broken, and you can see water still seeping through that top corner of the door.
Great.
But it's a trickle, not a stream. It's salt water.
Fair enough.
As the deepest places on Earth usually are.
All right.
I think destroying the idol's back on the table.
I think so. I think we've got the idol. It wants to kill us, likely by freezing us to death. But apparently there are other options. And there are other artifacts in the house, but we don't know what they might do. That's not just weird. So I think back upstairs, we see if we can destroy this thing.
All right. Let's head back over to the idol.
Cool. So now,
That's
Maurice,
probably so much.
in your soggy
Oh,
sweater,
great.
give me a Constitution, Maurice, as you walk up the stairs as it gets colder and colder, and then turn right, turn left back towards the master bedroom as the temperature
30
drops 40 degrees.
36 under 70.
Cool. I mean, you get the shivers, but you're a big guy. So far, you're holding up.
Yeah. At this point, it probably makes more sense to remove the wet clothing. I'll do that.
So you peel off the, and then immediately, oh God, it's cold up here.
Yeah, it is very cold. Ugh.
Yes.
Look, if I find a women's robe or something, anything, basically, I'll put it on.
I mean, you can just run back to that other building. Yeah, you come out in, you kind of just paw through a box, and then Maurice comes out in a woman's pink kind of silky peignoir with the kind of ostrich feather
Oh, beautiful.
ruff
Very
around. I mean, it's pretty warm. It's warmer than that
These people-
scarf.
The rich know how to live.
That explains, but why did you put on the slippers with the kitten heels? That doesn't make sense.
Sometimes I like to feel pretty. That's all. I'm
Right.
tall.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. So now, so as Maurice has rejoined you in his boudoir attire, yeah, I mean, there's the scattered remains of Charles and the statue sitting there. Nothing appears to have changed.
Well, my first instinct is to try shooting it. So that's what I'm going to do. I think.
Okay.
Miss Fang pulls out.
Stand back.
Let's give that a try. Surely nothing could go wrong.
Oh,
That is a 61 over 49.
You shoot. You shoot the bed where some of the unexploded bits of Charles III are, and then there's a little, and then like a frozen dust of Charles III
Yes.
kind of lifts up into the air, settles
Shivering
all
a
down
little too
all over
hard
you.
to aim properly.
Yes.
I promise it's just because I'm cold.
I think this takes a workman's touch, and I pull out my wrench and just whack it.
Cool.
Is that a fighting brawl?
Yeah.
All right. Come on, super success. 40 even under. That's a regular success. 70. 40 under 70.
Cool. Roll a damage.
All right. That's a D6 and a D4. 3. Not incredible, but
Yeah. I mean, you whack it. It does move a little bit, but it's almost like you hit a much larger rock. In that you would expect even something, even solid stone with as hard as you hit it, you would expect it to at least be knocked over. It does move, but you don't see like even a chip out of the surface.
Can I? I'm gonna risk picking it up if I can.
You do.
Okay.
It's cold, but it's not exceptionally cold.
It's not even that cold. I thought this thing was causing the cold.
Well, it seems to have an involvement, whether it's cold or not. It's stone that has emeralds for eyes.
Yes.
I think I head over. Are the emeralds like embedded? How are they? Is it possible to dislodge them?
Maybe. The thing that you notice is that the emeralds do in fact appear to be embedded in the raw stone, not glued or affixed in, but you can even see, like, as you hold it up to the kind of filtered light through the frost covered windows, you can see some of that light refracting into the emerald that is beneath the surface of the stone, almost as if the stone was molten and formed over the emeralds.
Have you
Interesting.
tried giving it a hug?
A hug?
Yeah, a hug.
Dr. Wells, do you want to give this this thing a hug?
Sure.
I do a psychology check on Dr. Wells.
Yes.
Any excuse to do a psychology check. Okay. What is that? 45 over 13.
Dr. Wells is extremely sane and highly competent.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that looks like a 12. Yep. I have horrible penmanship, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right.
You can pick it up and hold it. I mean, it's quite heavy. It probably weighs 30 pounds.
30 pounds? Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, it's solid, like very dense rock.
So if we throw it out the window, do we think water is just going to come rushing in?
Yeah, that seems pretty likely.
Okay.
Uh,
What about down the stairs?
Look, I'll throw it anywhere you want. I'll throw it. I mean, you could. What is that? That other room was like a bowling, like a bowling alley,
Yeah.
basically, with all this stuff.
Just
We could throw it at that skull thing that you were looking at.
well, that would be it'd be a shame to break two things. I mean, it might not even break. I'm just contemplating how we might destroy this thing.
We wouldn't even get in trouble for destroying it because the master of the house wouldn't even know.
That's true. Could do it right in front of him.
We're doing it right. We tried to destroy it right in front of him right now. I'm just at a loss for what we should do. This thing is a creature of the depths. Are we sure it's causing the cold?
Well, from my sources, they indicated that previous owners of the artifact had been found dead under mysterious circumstances, the circumstances being frozen. So it's at least correlated with the cold.
Okay.
And the air in the bedroom is now quite thin. Like in this conversation, you're occasionally having to stop and catch your breath.
All right. I want to get out of this room.
That is fine by me.
We can go to the card catalog room. We can go to the big bowling alley, ballorama. Sorry, the ballroom that's been refitted into a museum. That area.
Sure. The area that was like half unpacked.
The workroom?
Were there any like things like tools there that we could use, or is it just like artifacts of business?
Not like heavy tools, but you probably saw like a roll of leather with little sleeves sewn into it.
Mm-hmm.
So like a folded over piece of leather with little stitch lines, and like little picks and brushes and mirrors and probes and like fine tools, the type that one might use to clean something, or pick little bits of ancient mud off of some strange artifact.
Okay, so not necessarily useful for our purposes.
I'll keep him. I'm a tool guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're just. Is the air any better downstairs, or is it all the same?
Are you taking the statue with you, or are you leaving it?
think we're
Sorry,
taking it with us.
we're taking the statue with us.
No, it is not better.
Oh.
Okay. Statue is causing the problem. I see. So the emeralds can't be moved. Our attempts at breaking it were not very successful.
Is there there's an attic, right?
Yep.
Have we checked in the attic yet?
I don't think so.
May as well.
We might as well check in the attic. I mean, there's only so many places we can check.
Cool. Montage. You check the attic. It's full of like old furniture and stuff. Like lots and lots of stuff.
All right.
Is there a window in the attic that we can look out?
Yeah. There's a whole series of little gable windows. But probably look out on either side. It looks to be a perfectly sunny, wonderful day outside. Of course, by the time you go over next to it, you can see the frost slowly creeping up.
This is very weird. I don't know. I feel like everything's just creeping in on me at this point.
Yeah, I'm a little at a loss on what to do.
Well, there is a mechanic.
Okay.
Because puzzles and mysteries are fun, but sometimes it's like, well, okay, my character is an investigator, but I'm not. And, oh, I've been at work all day. So if you look next to your intelligence stat, it has a little idea, the word idea underneath it. So one of the uses of intelligence is just to like check your intelligence. But there is a thing called an idea roll. So if at any time during an investigation you get stuck, you can just say, if I'm super smart, I might have an idea. My character might have an idea. So you can make an idea roll.
Yeah. If I was super smart, I might have an idea.
Yeah.
And allegedly I am.
Right.
So I would like to do.
But you're not a
idea roll.
1920s antiquarian.
Yes.
So you can make a roll and see if Mrs. Fung can help you out.
And good old mechanic Maurice is going to have a go at it too.
Cool. Cool. Why not?
I did it. 38 under 50.
Cool. How about Mrs. Fung?
28 under 90, so hard success.
Ooh, excellent. I think
Slightly better.
I think Maurice is kind of thinking, it's like, if only we knew more about this thing. Kind of like, oh, it's like, is it causing it? Is it not causing it? If only we knew more about this thing. Mrs. Fung, you recall the extensive catalog, and you recall a very particular detail about the extensive catalog. There were hundreds or thousands of individual entries, but many of those entries were quite old. And even like the cards themselves were visually yellowed. There were a relatively small number of, in that one drawer, probably maybe two, that were on brighter, whiter, more pristine paper. Occurs to you that if this is indeed a recent acquisition, it would still be a bit of a needle in a haystack, but it would be a very small haystack, as opposed to a haystack of thousands of entries.
Mm-hmm. All right. Mrs. Fung is going to hurry back to the card catalog and take a look for the newer entries for this particular one.
All right. Go ahead and everyone just give me intelligence. Each of you just roll intelligence.
5.
Ooh.
That is an extreme success.
Excellent.
33.
Which is a success, I assume, Dr. Wells, right?
It's a hard success.
Oh, excellent.
Also have a hardest success.
Wow. Wow. I was just about to start dealing you freezing and suffocating damage, but you have gone very, very quickly. I think collectively, there's a moment when you and Maurice lock eyes and go, the card catalog. And then we have a bit of a clue moment when everyone's running, skidding down the hallway, just to at least get the blood moving, because it's very, very cold in that room. And you just begin pulling out drawers and just, willy-nilly just kind of going, okay, old, new, and just making a quick stack of the new. And then kind of divide that stack of maybe 20 entries into 3 small piles and then begin going through them. The good news is that although the handwriting on these is in 2 different scripts, both English, both relatively legible, and you're able to very quickly discard all but one, which is simply described as the Serpent statue, or Sumerian/Assyrian serpent statue, unknown provenance, superficially resembles certain things mentioned here and there. Like there are some notes, but it does reference as a footnote. It does reference that it may be related to an object that is detailed in a book. And I'm going to tell you the name of that book momentarily as I generate it randomly. It is the Zhylsex Codex. ZHYLL''XEX.
Zilsex.
So that's a reference on the card.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there a likely location for this book in the house? I don't think we encountered the library or anything, though we did see Abigail's study. Is that accurate?
You have seen books in 3 locations. You had a good hour to examine the books in that little parlor. And there's a few books scattered here and there, but they're all kind of the same. Like, clearly most of them are valuable, but not, you presume this is ancient and rare. And you wouldn't just leave that laying out on the mantelpiece next to the fire. So you have seen some books in Abigail's room, and you have seen a few books in the display area in the collection proper.
Okay. I would probably check Abigail's room first, since this is likely a recent investigation.
All right. Give me spot hidden. Are you all going together, or are you dividing and conquering?
I feel like time is a premium at this point. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say.
Okay, so where are the other locations where there were books?
So 3 locations where there were large concentrations of book. One was in the parlor where you were locked in for an hour.
Right.
And Mrs. Fung and Dr. Wells at least kind of looked at all those. And there certainly wasn't anything strange or even particularly valuable. I mean, good quality books are valuable, but nothing rare. Abigail's room, and then in the collection room proper.
Okay. I'll take a look in Abigail's room, but I'm not too confident in my ability to spot hidden, so... But hey, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, I think...
Have we been to Abigail's room? Yes, she that had
Yes.
the... right.
Mhm.
I'll take a look. All right. So
I'll
we can...
go into the 3rd location.
You want to go downstairs and check the parlor just in case, or just kind of sweep through the other rooms just to make sure?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So spot hiddens from all.
Spot hidden, 42. Oh.
I rolled a 98.
I rolled
In
a
the
63.
in the collection. Okay.
Yes.
63/42.
Cool. And Dr. Wells.
I rolled a 001.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Ooh. Well, you have to respect the crit. So, I think you notice a few things. One, that puddle has grown just from that trickle of where Maurice broke the seal on the front door. And as you're striding toward it, something strikes you as not quite being right. Because towards the edge, you can see the black and white marble tile floor underneath. But in the center of this puddle, it's just black. Like maybe it's an optical illusion, but before you stride out into it, you kind of go, that doesn't look right. I mean, it's flat water. Like there's no way that it could be deeper than, a centimeter. But it looks like there's just a big hole into deep water in the middle of this entryway. The other thing that you notice is on a coat rack. Not the freestanding kind, but kind of like a built-in console where one would hang coats and have a seat and put on boots and things like that. You do see a few coats, but you notice that there is a satchel. And you do notice that there appears to be some sort of very old-looking book. Just the edge of it kind of peeking out of where the flap to the satchel hasn't been fully latched. Which is interesting. Potentially good news. The bad news is that the puddle makes it difficult to get over to there. So this is very near the front door, and between you and this little area is this big spreading puddle of very cold water, ice crystals kind of forming at the edge with this ominous black, deep looking portion in the center. Maurice, you just find a bunch of books on translation of like 20 different languages and kind of, look through those and kind of go, oh.
Boring.
Right. And Mrs. Fung, you stare at that skull for another 15 minutes, hissing to yourself in a strange alien language.
Normal.
Yeah, as you do.
Can I call the others over and write the book out?
Yeah.
All right.
Mrs. Fung, you are awoken from your reverie.
Yes, we're good. Yeah, head over.
All right. Sorry. Yeah, what's happening?
So over there's like the coat rack. There's a satchel there, and like there's a book in there, but the water that's coming in through the door seems to be around it, and it looks like it's deeper than it should be.
So we just have to get around the big puddle in the middle, eh?
In theory, that's probably what we.
All right. Yeah, I'll give it a go. Maurice, with it being fairly dexterous, is gonna try to finesse his way, I don't know, over the stair arm rail or whatever, and get over to the.
Well, so the problem is that it has. So imagine the little corner with the little bench and the knobs to hang coats and things on as almost like a little island of tile. And then there's this kind of spreading pool of what does, to Dr. Wells' credit, look like very, very deep water.
Is there like a chandelier or something?
There is.
All right. Is there any rope nearby?
Sure.
All right. I'm gonna Indiana Jones this thing.
I mean, there probably is some sort of pulley system, although the house has been electrified. Back in the day, there would be a pulley system to lower the chandelier so you could light the candles and then raise it back up.
Right.
Sure.
I'm gonna try my best at this. I guess. Get the rope where it's attached, affixed to the wall, and then try to Indiana Jones my way across the pit.
Cool. I think I need 2 rolls for this. One is
Okay,
a
that sounds
strength.
fair.
One is a strength.
Okay. All right. Good.
And the other is a luck.
And a luck, less good. We'll start with the strength.
Yeah.
Or what do you prefer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Start with the strength.
Strength. 92 over 70. I'm gonna use a major boon.
Okay, that's a good
if
idea.
You don't, mate. You got that?
Yeah, I'll get it.
All right. You know what? I'll just use it to flip it over and make it a 29, which will make it a hard success.
Cool. So you rush over to the wall. You immediately see the crank. And for whatever reason, the line is exposed as opposed to running through the walls. You grab a hold of it. You pull out a pocket knife and grab a hold and slice it underneath and stick the pocket knife in your teeth and then leap up. And now you are rapidly being launched by the crashing of this very heavy wrought iron chandelier, pulling you in the air and swinging you in the general direction of the far wall at great speed. So give me a luck.
All right. This is where Maurice, it probably ends at this point. Here we go. 80 over 39, 86 over 39.
Maurice, you hadn't counted on the fact that the majority of the momentum was vertical.
Right.
As opposed to horizontal. So
Right.
Maurice, you are like you are pulled up, and this is a heavy, heavy chandelier.
Right.
You are pulled up just to the point, like you don't slam into the ceiling, but you can feel as you reach that moment almost of free fall, like your back just kisses the ceiling. Mm-hmm. And of course, this is a grand entranceway, so the ceiling in this room is 2 stories high, or 2 floors high. And then you do this very narrow parabolic arc. Your back kisses the ceiling, and then you belly flop into the center of this puddle.
Hooray.
The good news is it's not a centimeter of dark water on a very hard floor because that would smash up your grill.
Right.
The bad news is it is, in fact, very deep, and it is, in fact, very cold.
Right.
So I need you to make a constitution.
All right. Hooah! 15 under 70. That is hard success.
Cool. So you don't have an immediate kind of shock response and just freeze up. It's more of a thrashing, panicking, choking. You do take 2 points of damage.
Fair enough.
I think just from the falling effectively 2 stories smack into water and that water being crazy cold. So now you have a thrashing Maurice in the center of this tiled foyer.
Remember to breathe.
Think about work through your senses.
How far away from the edge of the water? Is it possible to reach something out to him, like an umbrella or something along those lines?
You can try.
Yeah, I'll give it a try. If there's an umbrella stand near the door or whatever.
Well, the umbrella stand is kind of over in that corner, but I think
it's over in
you've
that
been
corner.
through the house, so we'll say
something else along those
yeah.
lines.
There's a butler's pantry, and you saw a broom or something. So yeah, go ahead and give me. I think it's probably strength.
Okay, it could happen.
Please be good.
Yeah, that would be a 44 over 30.
Ooh.
So you kind of throw a broom at Maurice's head, and then it kind of smacks him, and he's flailing. It's not quite buoyant enough, Maurice, that it can hold you up.
Right.
So now you're floating in in this mass of near freezing water with a broom.
Is swim a skill?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm going to attempt to swim. Is this a normal or would this be hard?
I think because you aren't in shock, it's just a normal one.
Well, that's still not very good. Oh, thank goodness. 6 under 20, which that is a hard success.
Cool. Major Bane. Thanks, villain, for dropping a Major Bane. Well, not only is your swimming quite impressive, but you are assisted in this endeavor as Dr. Wells and Mrs. Fung see it's almost like the water that you're in starts to rise.
Oh.
And there's a kind of a bubbling as you begin to kind of awkwardly, shakily, overhand crawl your way towards what you can see now as the edge, kind of irregular edge of the tile floor. And it's almost like you're riding a wave as this bubbling up from underneath you kind of carries you the last few feet, and then you sort of slide out as the water sloshes over the edge and carries you almost to the far wall. Dr. Wells and Mrs. Fung, you're, from the calves down is just inundated with this splash of icy water. You probably stumble back. Both of you give me dexterity. Dr. Wells and Mrs. Fung.
We got a 25 under 40. That's just a regular.
Okay.
57 over 50.
So Dr. Wells just kind of slip and slides a little bit. Mrs. Fung, just your feet go right out from underneath you and you splat onto the ground. What do?
Well, if I'm, I think I'm kind of thrashing toward land, but I'll head over to that satchel.
Oh yeah,
and see if
you've
the book's
been
in there.
kind of ejected and have body surfed across this foyer.
Oh, cool. All right, that's the plan at least. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean you can stand up. It's a little bit awkward because the tile floor is very slippery and you're just shivering madly.
So cold. Just freezing.
Yeah,
At least there's
Dr.
more
Wells notices
coats.
Maurice's lips are absolutely blue.
At least you could probably find another coat over there.
I mean, you'll have to get I'm going to say you are on the farce. You're still on the same side, so you haven't gotten over the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That is a problem. Yeah, Mrs. Fung is just getting back up from where she fell.
Yeah.
Okay, so we still need to get to the satchel if we want to learn anything from this book.
And Dr. Wells, you're still carrying the statue, right? The serpent? Still hugging it?
Yeah.
Creating it like a little baby? Okay.
Yeah.
Just having a thought.
Can Dr. Wells have an idea about what if she threw the thing into the water?
I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, I think you can have the idea. I think you would think it could be very good, very bad, or make no difference. As in, you do not possess. So idea rolls work on the basis of there are clues in the environment that I'm not putting together. So how can I, but my character might put it together. They're not like a psychic power necessarily. Meaning if you don't possess the information in the idea as well, maybe not.
How do I get to the other side without crashing into the roof?
Yeah. I mean, it's not that far. It is a little bit further than it was before. And you can see that area kind of still, like, there was an outflow and then it flowed back. But it's
Like
still oscillating a little bit.
I couldn't jump it, could I?
Maybe. If it weren't for the fact that you would have to get a running start on very, very slippery tiles.
Oh, okay.
You think you probably could. You also think that falling in the water again would be bad.
That would probably kill me.
Oh, it might send you into shock.
Yeah.
And there's no way to like climb across the edge or what have you, like on that far wall, or is it all water?
There's probably a variety of things. So you sort of survey the room. There are in the parlor nearby. There are bookshelves. There's a grandfather clock and a table here in the entryway. There is, kind of decorative millwork along the walls. So, yeah, creating some sort of bridge, trying to climb. There's a variety of other ways. Couldn't quite go up to the angle isn't quite right to go up to the top of the stairs and try to jump. Like the gallery doesn't move all the way to the front to overlook it directly, and then you'd still be jumping a good distance. So that's out. But climbing or trying to fashion some sort of bridge would be clear alternatives, and then maybe some others.
Well, I'd maybe suggest making a bridge if that's something that you think would make it more doable for you, Maurice.
Is there a lot of furniture that? Yeah, we have a lot of furniture we could deal with.
There's
a bunch in the house.
There's bookshelves, little like a chaise lounge and or chaise longue and little settee, some ottomans, little side table. There's typical furniture.
I'll use the tools that I just found.
to brush off a little bit of dust.
Oh, sorry, those were fine tools.
Yeah.
Okay. To build this makeshift ladder, what would that require?
Oh, I think. Are you trying to do it super duper fast?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, I think it's going to take, if you want to do it super duper fast, I'm going to say it's an extreme mechanical repair because, for two reasons. One, it's hard with a setback. Hard because you're trying to do it very, very quickly, and the setback because a penalty die because you are freezing to death.
Right, okay. Hard setback, hard with the penalty dice.
Yeah, and I think we'll wait and see what you got.
Okay. We started with a 27. That ain't bad. Or is that a 1? Nope, that's a 7. And it's under my paper, and I reveal 37. Is that enough, though? I will spend 2 luck to make it 35, which is exactly what I need.
Excellent. So Maurice just in between fits of shivering, just goes crazy. Knocks over the grandfather clock, breaks apart some lovely marquetry table, goes and rips lamp cords out of the wall, cuts them off the lamp, using it to lash it together, and very quickly puts together a makeshift kind of. It's half bridge, half raft. And everyone takes half of. Oh, everyone takes 1 point of damage.
All right.
From the cold and rapidly thinning air.
It's unfortunate. Okay. Oh.
Who's going to cross?
Think somebody needs to weigh it down, and that would be me. So crossing is probably not something I should be doing.
Also, you're still super shivering, so you might have a harder time than other people doing it.
Shivering is not conducive to balance.
I could give it a try. Not good at these physical things, but need to read that book, so.
Cool.
Gotta get that book.
So give me a dexterity.
I got an 87 over 50.
Well, the good news is it's not a critical fail. So you 100% fall in, but
Yes.
you don't fall, you don't just like fall off the side. It's more like you slip and kind of land halfway. So your arms are still wrapped around this makeshift bridge. I do need you to give me a constitution check, though.
Yeah, that's fair. So cool.
Yeah.
That's a 10.
Oh, wow.
So that's an extreme success.
Yeah, it's almost like that shock of cold. And then that momentary sense of, your feet kicking. You can feel one of your shoes come loose. And then it's almost like your internal vision goes with the shoe as it drifts down into these deep, deep waters that can't possibly exist in this upscale foyer. Is enough to just like, boom, I'm in, and boom, I'm out. You just like scramble yourself out, and you're now on all fours on this, rocking and rolling, half floating bridge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I keep crawling across. I'm trying to get to the other side.
Okay. Well, give me a dex with a bonus die since you're now crawling.
Okay. How does the bonus die work?
So bonus and setback are the same. You roll 2 of the 10s or re-roll the 10s die. For a bonus die, you take the lower, increasing in likelihood of success. For a penalty die, you take the higher.
Gotcha. It's a 29 this time.
Cool.
So success.
Yes. You make it across. Kind of catch your breath, and of course it's hard because the air is getting thinner. Another major bane. Moments after you reach the safety of this little island of tile, something quickly just shoots out of that deep water, wraps around that kind of floating bridge of flotsam, and then with a huge splash yanks it into the depths. Maurice, you have to scramble back as you feel the tile underneath you kind of give a little bit. Right. A few more tiles at the edge of this pool just kind of fall off and drift into the depths, widening it.
Yeah, so it's just as I was getting off of the bridge.
Yeah, so you're on the you got to safety. Your success still holds. But the way back is going to be fun.
Yeah. So I sort of glanced back briefly at the bridge that's no longer there, but that's not my current problem. So I am going straight for that satchel and seeing if the book is there.
Yes, there is. It's a very ancient book. It obviously isn't thousands of years old because the organic material would have decayed completely. But your innate appraisal lets you know that this is many hundreds of years old. It is, I will say because I'm nice, I will say there's even a bit of a slip of paper, like in between some leaves. As you're flipping through, this is not a language that you know. Mm-hmm. But as you use that piece of paper as a book mark, you open it, there is a stylized version of a drawing of that same statue. It's nowhere near as precise and exact as the one in the notebook, but it's clearly the same statue. And there is an inscription beneath it in this unknown language. And there is, on the little slip of paper, there's a partial translation. And that, or like someone had just started, and the translation or the note says something to the effect of incantation to abjure the Serpent of Abzu.
Okay, so we have like what we think this inscription is the incantation, but we don't know what it says.
Correct.
Okay.
And you're stranded
And I'm stranded. That's
on a little slowly shrinking island of normality as this vast freezing ocean spreads in the entryway of this fine country hall.
okay. Well, I let y'all know what I found in this. That there's some text here, an inscription. And so ways to get across. It sounded like there's not really much on this side of the.
There's like a built-in kind of bench with a back and stuff. It's clearly like part of the woodwork. There is no other furniture on that side.
Okay. Do I have enough information to have an idea about the how to handle the inscription side of things, or is that still?
Yeah.
Can I do a roll for that?
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll even give you a bonus die. Because in
That's good. I needed it. That's good.
Because in the fiction, you would have a bonus die.
Okay. With that, I have a 4, so extreme success.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, when you failed your spot hidden in Abigail's room, it was because you were so taken by the diversity of languages in all the different books that she had. She's obviously quite the polyglot and linguist. You definitely recognize the script from one of those books.
Okay. Yeah, so
one of the ones Maurice was looking at just a minute ago and went, who cares about this stuff?
Yeah, I think if I have like an image of what this book was, where it was, I'm going to tell Maurice and Dr. Wells, like, go get this book.
Cool.
All right.
Cool.
Which book? The one with the thing or the other thing?
The other thing.
Oh,
Blue
okay.
cover.
Blue cover. All right.
Maurice is colorblind. He comes back. This one? We spend the next 30 minutes of this one? No, I said it was small.
This is like that time I failed that pilot's test.
This big giant yellow one? No. This pillow?
Grab
no.
them all.
Right. And then finally Dr. Wells goes up and just like here's all the books.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, I am going to need something collaborative here because you are in a situation where the key to translation is on one side of this gap and the thing to be translated is on another. So how would you like to work together?
Let me just check my throw. It is garbage. All right, not great.
I mean, you could risk throwing the only way out of this horrible situation into the water.
Precisely. Collaborative situation.
So Mrs. Fung needs to tell you enough about this to be able to look things up in that book. Do we like what is this language even something we can sound out, or is it more symbols?
The book that Maurice has, you don't know what this is, but it is effectively, you can describe what you're seeing, Mrs. Fung. It is apparent that it is a syllabary. So
syllabaries. So it's just like how you can sound out these words.
yeah. So each sigil is a syllable. So it's not an alphabet. It's a syllabic language, as many ancient languages were, and the translation is basically a catalog of sigils with their phonetic syllable.
So from my end, it's like giving the description of the sigil that I need like what sound does this make?
Yes. Cool. Do you have any lipstick on you or a pen?
Yeah, I think I would have a pen. I would have a pen amongst my tools.
Why don't you give me a luck and see if it fell out of your purse and when you were in the drink or something?
Rolled 7, so yes.
Oh yes, you have a fine, whatever a 1920 Sharpie marker is, and it's still relatively dry. It was in your top pocket of your jacket, underneath the fur, so it didn't even get wet.
Yes, I flip to the back if there's a blank page here, and I start writing out like big like what we need to look up here so I could show you.
All right.
Cool. So I think.
So, is this just like a single piece of paper you have, or?
For me?
Yeah.
I think I've got the book. I've got like slips of paper in it I can use. So
And
I
got her,
multiple,
and I think you had Abigail's notebook. So there's probably
I have Abigail's notebook.
So maybe
I've
like
got multiple sheets of paper. So I'm like I can do each sigil pretty large.
yeah. So you draw each sigil in the incantation on a single sheet of the notebook, almost creating like a little flip book.
Yeah.
And then so it sounds like Mrs. Fung and Maurice are collaborating to create the so imagine sigil, phonetic translation, and then meaning. And of course the meanings are somewhat vague, like you don't know the grammar, but so you guys are going to work together. So I'm going to need intelligence from both of you. I think if you have cryptography or linguistics.
I feel like the women in this party have a lot more education than I do, and they should probably be.
You can hand the book to Dr. Wells, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Wells, do you have cryptography or linguistics?
No.
Yeah, I
but
did.
I have 90 intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I was just saying,
Just give an intelligence check.
I think you all need to take a moment and breathe. It's like, well, hold on. You're a world-renowned scientist. We probably ought to have you on this.
You're at the forefront of psychiatric study at this point,
right?
We should not be putting this in the hands of a mechanic.
Right. As you just hold this little book in your big mitts.
I fix things and I punch him.
Awesome. So cool. I think. I mean, time is really the variable here. So just roll intelligence.
I've got 69 under 90.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Dr. Wells, intelligence. I will say it would go faster if it were cryptography or linguistics. Doing this through just the brunt of intellect is going to take some time.
Can I use a major boon to switch the numbers around?
For sure.
So
That's
then
what
it
they're
would
for.
be a 49, which is just a basic success.
So regular success from you. How about Mrs. Fung?
Regular success.
Cool. Would everyone give me, let's do them in order. So give me a constitution check.
Cons. Hard success.
Cool.
28 under 70.
Cool.
48 under 50.
Cool.
I am spending a luck to make it a success.
Cool. Well, so everyone succeeded, so everyone takes 1 point of damage.
Okay.
Do it again.
I'm at 9.
49 under 50, so success.
56 under 70. So
Cool.
regular success.
11 under 50, hard success.
Wow. Doing well. Everyone takes 3 points of damage.
Uh-oh.
I didn't roll well the last time. One more time.
All right. I might go down if he's rolling a d6.
Yeah.
The die is escalating.
Uh-oh. 9. So that's extreme success.
Cool.
Success.
Cool. Dr. Wells.
I got a 5, which is an extreme success.
You each take 1 because I rolled poorly. For
Hooray.
reference, it started at D4 and then D6, then D8. I'm on D10. But I did not roll well. Oh, I did roll well on one of them, but you all succeeded. So, I mean, this is a bad situation because you don't have that much health and it's slowly being zapped away. And if your will and resolve were to fail, it is entirely possible that you could just go into shock and die. But
We're too cool.
in the it's even getting a bit darker just because the rime of frost on the windows is getting thicker and thicker. So in the failing gray light, in chattering teeth, Mrs. Fung, you're able to get both the kind of phonetic sequence as well as a rough approximation of a translation into English.
Mm-hmm.
The rough approximation is something like, "O great serpent, from the abyss beyond, formless source outside the world, from the depths you came, to the depths you must return." The other thing that you notice is that as it gets dimmer and dimmer, you see, when you look up, you see out of the corner of your eye lights in the depths of the water. Little moving flecks. Almost a pulsing pattern. Like maybe it's a school of luminescent fish. Or maybe it's a pattern of bioluminescence on the skin of a very, very, very frighteningly large creature.
Maybe so.
Who
I'm gonna
knows?
read this incantation, I think.
Okay. You read it in, it's hard because this is lots and lots of weird consonants,
Mhm.
very few vowels. So you kind of out this incantation. Nothing happens.
All right.
Maybe maybe you did it wrong. Do it again. Same thing, except your throat's starting to get sore from.
It said the serpent has to go back where it came from. Well, it comes from the depths. Why don't we just send it back to the depths?
Could try.
All right.
Why don't we throw it in while Mrs. Fang, you read the incantation.
Let's do that.
Sure.
So that's what happens.
Yes.
Ms. Vong, you've had some practice now.
Mhm.
And The air is getting thin. Like even the water on that splash on the tiles near your feet is starting to freeze. It is Antarctica cold here or more. You're starting to see like the tips of your fingers go from being red before, now then they were blue. Now it's starting to turn white. It's that cold. But through chattering teeth, you croak out this discordant incantation. And as you say the final line, Dr. Wells throws the statue into the pool. And it shatters on the tile floor of the perfectly dry entryway. You see one of its emerald eyes freed from plaster, maybe? Kind of roll around in the center. You see another one shoot out and go down a heating duct as just a spray of powder and shards of sandstone, plaster of Paris, some very soft, brittle material. And the door creaks open.
Is the ice still there?
No.
Can I go check on Mr. Charlie?
Yes.
Question before you get to the next part. Am I still wearing the robe?
Yes. Oh, and you're still soaking wet in when I say the ice, I mean there's still like some ice, like the bottom feathers of your peignoir, Maurice, are still kind of icy, but are rapidly starting to drip. Dr. Wells, you go upstairs.
Yeah, just to see if Charlie is still in pieces.
Well, Charles III, the elder, Charles Cavendish. How do I describe it? It's kind of like hamburger, as rapidly melting small chunks of flesh kind of have started to congeal.
That's unpleasant.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna return to the group now.
Oh, what'd you see, Dr. Wells?
He may or may not be fine.
May or may not. Is he still breathing? Or he's just in pieces, right?
Kind of still in pieces, but becoming less in pieces.
Okay.
Take that as we can't help him anymore.
No.
Okay.
I think we should probably go.
Probably.
I hate this place and I hate the people living here. I'm going to take off this robe, leave it right here for this waiting staff to deal with. That's the kind of mad I am right now.
I'm taking this book with me.
I should probably steal something. Just you know what?
It's the principle of the thing, right?
I'm better than that. I won't do that. I won't do that.
I'm taking the coat with me.
Yeah. Oh, okay. The big men's overcoat. Ms. Fung, that skull. I mean, no one's guarding it right now.
That skull is such a magnificent artifact. I just don't think I can leave it here.
Okay.
I'm taking that with me, yes.
So Mrs. Fung does, well, let me double check and make sure everything, and then just kind of goes up, lifts up that glass cloche, and then just scoops that skull you probably can find a bag somewhere.
Yes, yes.
And so now you have this scrimshaw humanoid skull in your possession, which is probably fine.
It's
Ooh,
probably fine.
if you can, take the catalog card so they won't have a document of it anymore.
How old is this? Does it have any information with it?
No, there is a tag that
Okay, so it has like a
well, the tag does have its alphanumerical string on it, so yes, you
okay.
can pull it.
Yeah,
It
I'll go
is
find that.
very, very yellowed, and
Mhm.
it's like it's one of those things where it's obviously written in ink, but even the ink has begun to fade. So it
Mhm.
has been in this collection for probably generations.
Yeah.
It might take a little bit of restoration to see if you can recover some information about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I do take the card along with me though. Thank you for that.
Cool. Cool. Then what happens?
Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. This place is terrible.
Cool. So you hop in the car, and Maurice, a little spray of white pebbles from the gravel circular drive, as maybe you hit the accelerator a little bit more than you intended to,
Mm-hmm.
and pull your car out onto the country road, leading
Make sure there's
away.
a nice divot in their nice gravel driveway.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. And you return to town. There's a little bit, like, it takes some time for the feeling to come back in your fingertips because you were minutes away from actual frostbite. And your lungs feel really tight. I think you probably all get a little bit of a cold or something, especially Maurice and Mrs. Fung in the days following, having been submerged in sub-freezing water. But no long-lasting ill effects except for the whole skull situation, which is a bit more long-term. Mrs. Fung, 2 additional things happen related to this investigation. One is a few days later, a kind of severely dressed or modestly dressed, kind of severe-looking young woman, raven dark hair, pulled back in a bun, wearing kind of a black frock, comes into your office or comes into your
Mhm.
business.
Yes, the usual "How can I help you?" sort of greeting.
She introduces herself as Abigail Cavendish.
Ah, it's nice to meet you.
Yes. She apologizes to you for the confusion, but wants to let you know that your services are no longer required. And in fact, it's a good thing that you didn't agree to come out to Coldwater Hall, because the day you were supposed to attend, she was called away and there was a tragedy. So it's actually fortuitous that you were unable to agree to her invitation.
My condolences.
Yes, well, Father had lived a long and prosperous life. It will be hard to go on without him, but I will continue his work. And I'm sure Charlie, once he's through with his education, will join the family business as well.
Of course.
She again thanks you. And you probably see there's a kind of a black cabriolet outside. You probably see in the back some, boxes tied with string as if she was just in town shopping for some things.
Mm-hmm.
And you see her go and get in the back, and that same butler chauffeur kind of gives you a look
Mm-hmm.
through the window and then speeds away. The second thing that happens is you receive a letter from a contact in Philadelphia who happened across a most unusual artifact and was wondering if you might know anything about it, or know anyone who would be able to track down its origin, its provenance, its relevance. They're having a hard time putting a price on it. They think they have a buyer lined up, but they're going to need to know more about its historical relevance to be able to close the deal. And you read this and kind of go, oh, this is not that unusual. And then between these two sheets of folded over note paper, a photograph falls. And it's a very familiar serpent statue. And then the camera closes down. The end. Well done. You didn't freeze to death.
Yay.
Or suffocate.
Yay.
You could have.
Barely.
Easily.
I considered having the giant kraken eat someone, but that didn't seem like it would be fun. I think it was
Been
just
fine.
chilling.
We'd get over it.
Yeah, right. You would live forever in the depths of the abyss and become a
Yeah.
sea ghoul or something. You know,
I mean,
worse
it's
things
a
have
long
happened.
life, but it's a long life, just not much of a life.
Exactly. Not much to do in the never-ending depths of the abyss, which is kind of like a deep, dark ocean, but also kind of like outer space. It's really sort of the same thing. Anyway, it's all good. So well done. You have survived the serpent's sting. Cool. Hey, let's do that thing and let people know who you are. And if you're online a lot or whatever, where they can see you next. Hey, Sin.
Hi, I'm Sin or Sinful__potato here on Twitch. I do stream on Twitch at times. There's no set schedule, but we play cozy games, murder mystery games, any random games, really. Who knows? Other than that, you can find me hanging out in this chat or in the C plus content Discord or in like Juice's chat and fun stuff. Yeah. Shanks.
Hello, I'm the Shanks Master General. I have been streaming on Twitch lately. I streamed 2 days ago. I plan on doing it tomorrow. But more frequently, I am associated with the band The Dreadnoughts on where you can find us is on Spotify, Apple Music, I believe, iTunes and all that. So buy our music and join me on Twitch. I'll play some Celeste. Anyways, go ahead, Mel.
Hi, I'm the Melbot. You'll probably see me again here sometime.
Awesome.
Hooray.
One of us. Excellent. Excellent. You know, we're doing Oh Gods of Appalachia, which is very thematically similar, but with a little bit of bluegrass twang. So think about it. And Shanks, I expect your next stream will be you in a songwriting exercise for the Cthulhu Hulu.
The Cthulhu Hulu, yes. I will record it.
Which will be our theme song. It'll be Cthulhu-esque with a banjo. No, that would be a what are those things called?
Ukulele.
Ukulele. With a ukulele.
I do not have a ukulele, but we'll try our best.
We'll work it out. Cool. So check it out on Spotify. Once it hits #1 to the top of the charts. Among a very, very select, very niche audience. So awesome.
Straight to the top.
Straight to the top of the Eldritch pop charts.
The Hawaiian folk Eldritch horror
Right.
pop music.
There you go. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks everyone for playing. Thanks folks for joining and boons and banes and all that good stuff. I actually remembered to use some bangs this time. Yay. And we're going to say goodbye to our friends on YouTube. Then we'll come back and chat a little bit and raid out. So goodbye, friends on YouTube.